In the shadows we wander through stories untold. Turn on the dial, let the signals collide. Midnight frequency radio, where the truth can't hide. Ghosts whisper softly in the static they sing. UFOs in the twilight on invisible wings. Bigfoot's in the forest, moving silent and free. Are the shadows watching? Could they be? Take a ride with us tonight into the unknown where fear meets the light. Open your mind, let your courage ignite. On Midnight Frequency Radio, we take flight.
From the Ozark foothills of Northeast Arkansas, I'm Carl Richardson, and this is Midnight Frequency Radio. Our guest tonight is Denny Sargent. Mr. Sargent is a writer, artist, and university instructor who has a master's degree in history and intellectual communications. He has been involved in a number of esoteric traditions and groups, including Welsh Tradition, Craft, CAW, CES, Nexus Ramatoa, Voodoo, Spiritual Temple, Shinto, and others. He has written for magazines and anthologies in the U.S. and Japan, and has written books and articles on paganism, Western occultism, spells, folklore, magic, and tantra. Mr. Sargent is the author of 10 books and co-author of 2 more, including Werewolf Magic, Werewolf Pack Magic, and the Book of Dog Magic. He is the elder guardian of the Horus Ma'at Lodge and has edited and written parts of 2 books for the organization.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to chatting.
I'm glad I didn't have to read that bio live. How did you first get interested in magic and shamanism?
Well, I'm going to separate the two because shamanism is something different. But in terms of magic, I was initiated when I was 14 as a Welsh traditional witch. This is in New York. I ended up hanging out with a lot of different people, having a lot of wonderful people, and sort of hovering around what was at that time, and this is a long time ago. This is like the 1970s into the early 80s. There was a bookstore called Magical Child, and that was sort of the only occult bookstore in New York. So me and my friends, we were all young teenagers, and we were all kind of punk rocker crazy people, and very, very interested. And one of my friends, his name is Robert Carey. He's passed away, unfortunately. May he be blessed. And he had like every single occult book that existed at that time. It was very hard to find these books, like all of Aleister Crowley's books and all of these witchcraft books and all of these, et cetera, et cetera. So I ended up moving more and more to New York City and hanging out with a friend of mine, Robert, and going back to school outside, I had to take a train out to Rye, New York, and then go to high school, which was like very weird because it was all very white bread and kind of, I don't know. It was a very rich area. And then as soon as I could, I would take the train into New York and hang out with my crazy wild friends, and New York is a different ballgame. So I got into everything, and I could go on for hours about different writers like Crowley and Austin Spare and witchcraft in general. I was involved in the Welsh traditional witchcraft tradition. So I got into everything. We all were. We were young, and we were like, "Hey, let's do this." And then let's go watch, punk rock music in Central Park. So that was kind of how I grew up in the quote unquote esoteric world.
Who was your biggest influence out of your meetings?
Other than my friends?
Yeah.
There were a few people. Unfortunately, some of them, quite a few of them, actually were either gay or were connected with people who were gay. And this is when we had no idea what was going on, and quite a few of them died. Like I'd say about over a third to a half of everybody I knew died. Many of them were heterosexual people who just shared that space with others, and it was terrible. So that was the hardest thing. But the people who ran it, who were sort of focusing everything and who made it sort of a gathering of all these people who are into all kinds of different, esoteric stuff, was the people at the Magical Child. So Eddie Buzinski was one of them, and Herman was the other.
Okay.
So that was the occult story in New York. There wasn't anything else.
Oh,
the Magical
okay.
Child. Yeah.
How do you define magic compared to the mainstream?
Well, magic, it depends. Different people have different aspects on how they view that. Nowadays, a large majority of people write magic with a K at the end, MAGICK, as opposed to people who do floor show magic with MAGIC, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people are still connected with Crowley. Crowley was a brilliant man, and he took all the interesting information about magic and wrote it together and made it more coherent, and spread a lot of his ideas. Now he passed away before I was hanging out with my friends in New York, but his work is extremely important. Whether people like him or hate him, everything is in terms of what is magic comes probably for the most part comes out of people like him. And so what is magic? A lot of people have different views. For example, the Golden Dawn has a lot of different attitudes about what magic is used and how many Golden Dawn people actually are involved in doing these rituals that go back to, oh my goodness, I don't know, probably right before, after World War II in England and other places. So Crowley, you wanted to know what magic was. It's a very hard one to pin down. Different people have different views. But Crowley's general comment of what that is not a bad one. I'm not 100% follower of Crowley, but he was a brilliant man. He was wonky and had things went left and right. But he was by far the smartest person who got involved in esoteric stuff, whether you like or don't like his work. And the term he used was magic is the art of causing. Magic is the art of causing. Let me see if I can get it exactly right. Causing love and will, essentially. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm getting the exact comment right again. So I'll tell you what, I'll find it. What is Crowley's definition of magic?
Crowley defined magic as the science, an art of causing change to occur in conformity with will.
Yeah, it's a little
This
more.
answer is from Wikipedia.
Did you catch that?
Oh, yes. Yes. No,
He defined magic as the science and art of causing change to occur in conformity with will. In other words, and a lot of people think of magic as this woo-woo stuff, but what he's saying is magic is the art and science of changing things, of making things change in conformity with will, meaning things like meditation, things like focusing, things like pulling back and letting the universe come to you. There's a lot of people tend to get wrapped up in certain things. I'm one of them. I mean, And then what happens is if I get angry about a job that I didn't care about, and then all of a sudden I'm creating an entire negative reality. And most people I know who work have moments where they basically don't like the way things are going in their world. And part of the answer to that is you need to pull back. You need to stop waiting for the universe to come to you in the way that makes it right for you. In other words, for example, I just ended up in the hospital, and I was really furious because they were supposed to do a surgery on me, and they didn't. And I was so angry that, I was like sort of creating this entire negative view. And I finally calmed myself and settled. And then what I found out later was things were going to work out okay, and that they actually wanted me to go to a different doctor for the surgery, which will happen in November. So the calmer and more focused I became, everything in the universe became better and calmer. And people started calling me and saying, "Oh yeah, we're setting you up for this surgery." Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir.
So that's magic. And it's very hard to have this conversation with people because people, including myself, get really wrapped up in what's happening around them now. And pulling yourself back and realizing that you're in control of your experience. And if you're angry, then that's what you pull into your life. And if you're super happy and you're on the rise, like right now, I'm excited to do this time with you, right? Yes. And so if I was irritated about it, then things would start to happen in a negative way. I don't know how to explain it, but the reality is that we create the reality around us. And I'm involved in Buddhism, I'm involved in Tantra, and I'm involved in ceremonial magic and witchcraft and all those things. And they all boil down to the same thing. You manifest your world. You manifest it. No one else does. Because people will get into, will say, "Oh, my car didn't work, this and this didn't work, and I'm really angry and I don't like my job." You're making that happen. I understand that some things are hard. It happens to me a lot. But the trick then is to pull everything back and stop complaining and stop, people who complain endlessly are creating negative anger and upset feelings, And so better to start with, okay, like my job is I take my dog for a walk. I was really upset the other day. Took my dog for a walk twice. And by the time I got home, I was like calm. And I was like, okay. I'm not going to keep this negative, volcano from me because I'm upset about it. And then immediately got a phone call saying, "Oh, we've set this up for you." So I think everybody's had moments where they pull back, they center themselves, and all of a sudden everything works out okay.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Uh-huh.
So that's magic. I don't usually have this conversation, but other people will have different opinions about magic, but you create the world you want to be in as much as you can. So, okay, let's talk about something else. I'm babbling now.
Okay. One of our listeners, Irene, stated, what you do is what you create, and you have to watch what you create.
Yeah, I guess so. That's not bad. I like that. If you're talking about creating something that's negative, like I have to be careful. Like, all right, I'll give you a good example. I tend to get most aggro when I'm driving.
Oh Lord, don't we all? My God.
And I swear, and I'm like, "Argh," and then it just creates like a negative cloud. She's right. So I'm really trying very hard. I have an image of Ganesh in my car, and I keep looking at it, and he keeps giving me an eye, Like if I start generating negative energy, then I'm going to make negative energy. So I'm trying very, very hard not to.
Yeah.
It's kind of simple, but there it is.
Yeah. You've written books on both East and Western mystical traditions. Do they complement or contrast each other?
Um, I don't see them as really either one. I mean, okay, like you haven't mentioned Shinto, but I wrote a book on Shinto, which is because I lived in Japan for 4 years. And Shinto is that's animism, and we'll come back to that. But Shinto is a very, very different sort of magical view of everything. Everyone in Japan believes in spirits, believes in animals that can shapeshift. People can shapeshift. I lived there for 4 years. They're quite serious. They believe that there are spirits in the lake, and you have to be careful because they can pull you under. So they have a very different view of things. But I've seen things that kind of make sense to me. Like, okay, if everybody in Japan has these thoughts, then those things manifest. I mean, so that's really old school. And that's where we'll mention it about animism. But Western occultism is kind of plunked down into Christianity or early Christianity, or Roman and Greek and Odinic different kinds of culture. So it depends on what people buy into. The bottom line is that I got very involved in Tantra, and Tantra is really ancient. It's much older than anything that any religion that exists out there, except maybe animism. And I got to spend a bunch of time in India, and I really loved it. I had gotten initiated by Sri Gurudev Dadaji Mahendranath, and this was in 1980, and I got an amazing experience from the initiation, because it's so ancient. And the other thing is that virtually everyone in India, and there's a lot of people in India, they basically are tantric, or they basically are tantric or believe in Tantra. And what they do is they're teaching, about Shiva and Shakti and Kali and all the different gods and goddesses. So I wish I could show you my altar, because I have a large altar. But Tantra is different from Hinduism. And when I traveled around India, everybody there is Hindu. Very few were Tantra. In fact, they were a little freaked out by me being a tantric. But they believed in me because I had an image of my guru, and I was able to chant and all these things. So they were a little put off by me, which is kind of cool. I was fine with that. But as a tantric, okay, so let me go back a minute. So Hinduism is like Christianity or Islam. It's like a pyramid, okay? Like people are born into it often, and the people who are like the sort of very powerful magical people, right? They are at the top of the pyramid. So people go to temples and say praise to Ganesh, or go to get in some kind of magical, just like you go to the mass, or whatever. But they go in and they ask for different things, like, maybe they want some money. So they'll like we just had a very big festival, Diwali, which is a festival of light, and is focused a lot on the goddess in India, Tripura Sundari or other goddesses. And so I went to these temples, and I thought it was very interesting, because as with other religions, people would go in and would throw some coins in, and then the guru, the guy who's running the whole thing, is the priest, and he's at the top, and he chants, and we chant back, and we do this whole thing, and then he blesses us, and then we step up and get blessed, and we get some prasad, which is food that's been blessed during the ritual. So it's very similar to, like, I've been to a Roman Catholic church, where you get the host and all these things. But as a tantric, I tantrics don't. We're not at the top of the pyramid. We're in the center, meaning we do what we will to do. We've all been focused intensely on this. So when people want me to do something for them, I do it for them. I'll do a puja or a ritual for them. Say they need healing or they need something else. I'll figure out which deity form works, and etc. So that's the tantra is more or less you're doing what you want to do, and people come to you because they know the magic you're doing with tantra. When I call on Hanumanji, or I call on Shiva, or I call on Lakshmi for specific things. Lakshmi brings money. I mean, so people who have come to me who were really desperate for some money, and I would do a big ritual to Lakshmi. So it's a little bit different, So this is not uncommon in the world. There are people who do magic are either in the center. I don't really need a guru to tell me what to do. I mean, my guru passed away, so I'm the guru of a number of people because they come and they want me to bless them and they want me to empower them. But if you go into India and you go into a big temple, then the guru is whoever's in the temple. Did that help at all? Was
Yes,
that too
sir.
much?
No, not at all. It's perfect.
Oh, good. Okay.
What's your latest book?
My latest book is called Feral Magic. And underneath, I wish I could show it to you because it's gorgeous. It has a wolf. It's a beautiful cover with lots of different colors embedded in it. And there's a wolf howling, and there's a crow above it, which is not uncommon. Crows, people don't realize this, but crows and wolves work together. It's everywhere. It's really common. Wolves are tracking. They're looking for food, right? Mm-hmm. And crows will ride on their back or fly above them. And once the crows see where, say, an animal is, it'll let them know. And often they ride on their back to that, and then the wolf kills it and eats it. Then they share the food. So that's kind of on the cover here, is Feral Magic. So it says, Feral Magic, unleash your unleash your inner animal self. Discover the sacred power of animism. And then Denny Sargent. And then it has a weird picture of me on the back. So Feral Magic is a little bit different. Yeah, there we go. Oh, thank you.
Hold on, I'm spell it right. Feral.
There we go.
There you go.
That's it. See, it's a nice cover, right?
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. So, I mean, I might as well just read what you've got there. Find and hone the innate feral spirit within you. Discover your. My glasses aren't working. Rewind yourself. Return to the ancient, deeper ways of being. So let's see. What can I say? What do you want to know about Feral Magic?
You can just give us an overview of the book for the listeners that could make them like to rush right out and get a copy.
This is my new book, and I'm really excited by it. It's so the books I did before this that were really important books were Werewolf Pack Magic and Werewolf Magic, this is a similar sort of idea. In the ancient prehistoric times, and not even just prehistoric, but in ancient times, there were a lot of people, for example, like ancient Greeks and ancient Romans and Odinists. They were constantly having these festivals where they would turn into wolves. And if you're interested in those sorts of things, it's kind of intriguing. So that was my first book that led me into that, and I got very excited by it and spent a lot of time out in the woods on a full moon and trying to let my animal self out. So feral magic is a little bit more open. I spent a lot of time studying about animism, which sort of pulls me further and further away from regular discussions about esoteric things. And I went with feral magic because people aren't sure what feral means. Most people think feral means, some kind of like rabid dog or something. But that's not what it means. A feral dog is a dog that escaped from being chained up. So if I tell people I'm feral, it means I'm no longer tied up to this culture, to this world, to this country, to anything. Like I'm not trying to do anything bad. I just am not going to buy into a lot of the stuff that is dumped on me. So feral magic is about a way to free yourself from the chaos of your life. And I have a whole bunch of stuff in here on how to do that. But the bottom lines are very, very simply, number one, you need to get out into the woods. And where you are is some lovely woods. And where I am is beautiful trees and rainforests, and there's plenty of woods. I mean, I can drive 10 minutes and be in the woods. So the more you pull your mental and neurotic stuff from the world we get sucked into that often has little to do with who we are, by getting out, by sort of peeling away all the stuff that our culture has forced to wrap around you, if you can sort of slide out of it in the woods, and then all of a sudden you are what we call unleashing your inner animal self. You don't have to think about what you're doing at work or what you read about or what you're upset about or what you saw on Facebook or whatever. So it's pretty straightforward and pretty simple. And I'm going to end up talking about shamanism as well. So I've run into people who were shamans, and I've run into people who were animistic. Now, the term animistic, I'm guessing most people don't know that word. Animism and animistic, right? So the earliest religion that ever existed, it was about 400,000 years ago, was animism. This is before there was anything else. And we know this because we find the cave paintings by the Cro-Magnon, etc. And we also found tons of sort of occult things with bones and crystals and things like that they were giving offerings, and they were connecting with all the spirits in the world. Now, we still kind of do that. I mean, when, for example, the other day the sun came out, and everybody just sort of stood there and stared at the sun, and we all honor the sun. We do. And some people say, oh, well, that's not religion. Yeah, it kind of is. I mean, what you feel from your heart, what works for you is religion, which comes from the term religios, which means to relink. Almost nobody knows what religion means. Religio, it means to relink, i.e. reconnect, right? Which kind of makes sense to me. So feral magic is about getting out of all the rope that's tied you up, all the negative thoughts, all the negative feelings, all the things that are making you crazy, that are making you get angry about this or that, or people have different views about politics, and this makes them angry and that makes them angry, and like all of that has to go away. If you go in the woods and you hang out with the animals and the trees, and you breathe intensely and carefully and you shut down your brain, all of a sudden you're exactly where you should be and where people were 400,000 years ago. You're calm, you're centered, and all of a sudden you can hear the animals and the birds, and you can smell all the different trees. And if you start paying attention to each tree and to each animal, all of a sudden you're in a completely different universe. So a lot of this book starts off with this sort of thing of going into the woods and focusing on the different parts of your mind, like breathing and listening and smelling and touching. Like most people when they go walking in the woods, and I see them all the time, they're talking to each other. They have iPods in their ears. They have headphones on. They're not there. Like if you're in nature and you want to be part of nature and start to really reach out and connect with like life, with what's real, with what's potent. And once you're able to do that, all of a sudden you can feel your entire life shifts. And all of a sudden it's not about you and your job and your friends. It's not about all that. It's about, you have the chance to be completely free and open and just shut up and just open up to all the animals and all the trees and start to see everything. And when people do that, because I go hiking a lot, when people get into that space, all of a sudden they see the chipmunks, they see the different trees, they see the clouds as they go over the mountains. They see these things, all of a sudden they're part of that. So that's one aspect of feral magic. The other is that feral magic connects with people who are interested, and again, this is connected with animism. People who are involved in animism not only connected with the sun and the moon and the stars and the eagles and all these things and saw them as living beings, right? Then they also started to interact with those. And then all you have to do, and I'm telling everybody right now who's listen to this, go online and look up the Lascaux is the best. The big cave areas that are filled with cave paintings from hundreds of thousands of years ago, and you'll see what they believed. So people look at these and they just go right by them. But if you think about these people, to them they did these images of bison or of people who are half wolf and half man, or all these sorts of things. They were putting these things on the wall was magic to them. They were putting it there, and then they were entering that. They were going into that. That was part of what they were doing. One of the things we've seen a lot is that there's several cave paintings where there's a lot of, for example, bison and deer and whatnot painted on the wall. And that what we've seen is there are holes in a lot of them. So what we're pretty sure, and we've found a bunch of the spears, that they did this whole thing was magic. They would get together and they'd be like, look, we're going to starve if we don't get some bison. That's it. We're going to starve. So this is where the shamans are the people who were doing sort of going into deep trances and trying to help this along, and would do this. And then there was another thing we're pretty sure what they did was a ritual where they would throw the spears at these images, and in their mind, killing the bison image was going to get them the food they needed. And we've seen this over and over and over again. So I could keep going, obviously, but I hope this gives some idea about feral magic.
Oh, yeah. Good description. I like it here where I'm at. You go out in the morning, you can hear the wind blowing through the trees and the birds singing, the squirrels barking at you. It's People need to, take the ear pods out and get back to nature.
And stop talking. Oh my God. Just stop talking. Americans have a very big problem with being quiet.
Yeah, I agree.
Virtually every single one when I go hiking. You see the people who are really good hikers and they go by you and they say hi and then they're gone. And then you have people who are like, yak, 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 yak. The birds are gone, the animals are gone, they're not paying attention. They'll get back to the car and they'll say, well, that was boring. They are disconnected. And we, for hundreds of thousands of years, we were very connected with everything. That's how we got our food. That's how we got our water. That's how we got, that became our religion. That became our work to try to survive. The sun was important. The moon was important. Nowadays, people don't,
I understand. Yes.
they're jogging, listening to something, God only knows what.
Probably rap music.
Yeah, something. I don't know. I'm like, it's very hard for me when I'm like sitting on a log in the middle of the woods and I'm in such a perfect, I'm my ego is like gone. I'm just sort of open and I'm one with that. And then somebody comes jogging down the path and they're like going, and so, you know what I told her? Yeah, I got to talk to her again. And I'm just like, okay, that was it. That was my whole day was shattered.
Yeah, that blew it right there. I'm going to go into our first break and then we'll be right back after.
Why not?
You by surprise, a single teardrop falling from your eye. I don't know why I run away.
This is Dark Matter News. I'm Joshua Stark. A volcano in southeastern Iran, silent for nearly 700,000 years, is stirring back to life. Mount Tafton, long thought to be extinct, has begun to swell at its summit, the first clear sign of geological unrest in hundreds of millennia. Satellite measurements show the peak has risen about 9 centimeters between mid-2023 and mid-2024, a subtle but unmistakable signal that pressure is building beneath the surface. Scientists believe that the deformation could be caused by gases, superheated fluids, or even magma slowly pushing upward through ancient chambers. What makes it remarkable is that the change appears spontaneous, with no nearby earthquakes or rainfall to trigger it. For a mountain considered geologically dead, that sudden motion is a major surprise. Mount Tafton sits along the Makran volcanic arc near Iran's border with Pakistan, an area that has seen major fumarolic activity, but no confirmed eruptions in recorded history. Now, researchers say it may need to be reclassified from extinct to dormant, or as some are calling it, a zombie volcano awaking after eons of quiet. There's no immediate danger of eruption, but scientists are urging greater monitoring and early warning systems in the region. Even small shifts in pressure can offer vital clues about what's happening underground. The awakening of Tafton is a reminder that Earth's deep forces never truly sleep. Catch up with us at darkmatternews.com.
Hi, this is Jessica with C. Crane. Tired of spotty radio reception and static? C. Crane CC Wi-Fi 3 Internet Radio offers a crystal clear solution, with audio guaranteed to outperform any smartphone speaker. With an internet connection, tune in to over 30,000 radio stations from around the world, all conveniently accessible without needing any apps, providing personal information, or additional monthly subscriptions. Enjoy complete privacy with no microphone or eavesdropping. The CC Wi-Fi 3 boasts a user-friendly interface with a full-sized remote for easy control. It also doubles as a Bluetooth speaker for your favorite music and podcasts. Ready to upgrade your listening experience? You can get the CC Wi-Fi 3 by calling C. Crane at 800-522-8863 or by visiting us online at ccrane.com. Once again, that's CCRANE.com.
About half of Americans believe in ghosts, and a fifth say they've actually sensed one. A recent article explores why. Psychologists point out that humans have evolved to detect threats quickly, sometimes too quickly. That intent detection means when something odd happens, say a draft, a weird noise, or unfamiliar shadow, our brain might assume someone's behind it, even if the cause is mundane. These cognitive biases make ghost stories surprisingly common. Context also matters. If you're told a place is haunted, you're far more likely to interpret creaks, cold spots, or flickering lights as paranormal. One study found people exploring an old theater who were told it was haunted reported significantly more eerie sensations than those that were told it was merely under renovation. This is Dark Matter News.
All right, welcome back to Midnight Frequency Radio and our guest, Denny Sargent. Mr. Sargent, you'd like to cover the topic of animism?
Yes, I would. So people can argue all they like, but the reality is, and almost everybody is, especially nowadays, everybody's starting by saying, look, you can talk about all the religions you like, that's fine. But we know for a fact that the earliest religion was animism. Now, what does animism mean? Animism means that everything is alive. And if you go to countries like I have, where animism is open, like lots and lots of places, they'll say, oh yeah, the spirits of the grass, the spirits of the rice, the spirits, the animal spirits, the bird spirits. When we need something, we call on the buffalo spirits. So it's not so different from any other religion. I mean, people get wound up by their own, religious focus. But the reality is that, and actually I've talked to Catholics who are not against that basically everything is alive. And if we start with that very simple idea that everything is alive, then all of a sudden the whole universe opens up. So animism sort of opens up to finding ways to connect with first animals and animal spirits and physical things. And I'm starting to write a book now about things like this. So there is a giant volcano in different, this one is in, just a second, New Zealand, and I can't find the name of the title, but so the people in New Zealand,
Translates to land of the long white cloud. This answer is from Wikipedia.
Thank you. Thank you. That worked out. So there is this massive volcano there, and the people who are there are native people, and for hundreds of years they've been asking to make the volcano a sacred human being. Last year that happened. The New Zealand politicians, finally, after a lot of work, they have made that island officially a human. Now, this sounds really nuts to everybody who's not an animist. So, but there are hundreds of places around the world, for example, like Grand Canyon is one of them, that is considered a sacred living being. So this gets really hard for most people, especially most Western people, to comprehend and understand. Like, how can a mountain be a person? How can a mountain be a living being? Well, this is just the reality, and it's not so much what we think and what we want. It's, what do you feel? Like, how do you react with that? I live in Washington State, so we have a couple of really good, amazing mountains here. One is called Mount Tahoma, or it's actually technically should be Tahoma, but we call it, but everybody else calls it Mount Rainier, which is sort of the Western way of looking at it. And it has a little puff of smoke over the top because it's a live volcano. But for all the native peoples in this area, that is an incredibly sacred place, and it's been sort of given to them as a crucial part of their lives. So there are a bunch of native tribes who more or less have some say over where people can go and can't go, because some of the people in that mountain are powerful. So the bottom line is that animism is about, if you go into nature and you see birds and you see animals, okay, they're alive, and you can start to see them as important beings. But you can also look at a tree, and as it waves and as it sort of, it sort of shows and emanates this incredible feeling. Leaning against a tree and closing your eyes and breathing deeply for 10 minutes, you will feel the tree. You will connect with the tree. And the problem is that especially Americans are like, oh, that's not true. That's a bunch of crap. And here's the thing. If you believe that's not real, then it's not real for you. But the reality is that for thousands of years, for all the people who lived in the woods near where I am, for thousands of years, from various tribes, they all believe that these animals and these trees and these places and these rivers are sacred, and that they by seeing them and connecting with them as powerful experiences, that brings you into connection with those things. When you jump in the ocean, everyone who jumps in the ocean has a very religious moment. And if you do that, if you push that just a little bit further and open up to the ocean as being a sacred, incredibly sacred, vast thing that has been around for hundreds of thousands of years, and it has just sort of been moving and growing, the Gaia, our planet, has been running just fine without any human beings before human beings were here. So you jump into the ocean and you lie quietly and you breathe and you just sort of open to it. You will have astounding reflections. If you don't believe that's possible, then it's not going to happen for you. I mean, magic is about you making decisions on what you are opening up to the universe and to the world. And people are, unfortunately, so many people have been trained by their school, by their religion, by this, by that, by the other thing, that in their mind, they know that X, Y, and Z is real and X, Y, and Z is not real, like, oh, no, trees aren't living beings or something like that. But a vast number of people in the world believe that trees are powerful beings and have powerful energy. My favorite image of that was I was hiking in Japan, and there was this huge, weird, sort of almost spaghetti-like tree. It was very old, like I don't know, 1,000 years old. And it was called the octopus tree. And everybody was kind of like staring at it, and it had a sign in Japanese that said, essentially, don't mess around with the octopus tree because it moves. And so, and there's not a single person who's walking there who thinks that's weird or crazy, because a lot of people in the world, and even people who think that things are A, B, and C, things things shift in life. We have different views and different opinions, and you can go walking and lying down in a field, and all of a sudden you feel something's watching you, and you sit up and there's a rabbit, and you have that moment of you and the rabbit and you, and there's a connection there. There's a connection that most people will turn it away. But if you're in that sort of open mind, you can feel that connection. I mean, I have a dog. I wake up and I hear something or something. My dog is right there with me. I can go on and on, but I've spent a lot of time being open to what's around me. And there are times when I've paused, and all of a sudden I hear the hawk. Otherwise I just would keep walking and not hear it. So you get to decide how much of the universe you're a part of. If you're going to be just a normal Westerner who walks and yaks and puts on headphones and has a very clear idea, like, oh, this is what's real. This is not what's real, and so, and different people have different religious views, and they're like, oh, this is good, this is bad. There's evil, there's good. So all these things, but if you can just sort of push it to the side a little bit, and just go into nature, and my book has very clear ways of doing that, of going into nature and opening up your inner self, your animal self. So I'm gonna add one more thing, and then I'll open it up. So one of the key things that's really important to me, and has been for many years, is unleashing your animal self. Now, what does that mean? Well, first of all, a lot of people don't like the term because they don't like to think, oh, I'm an animal. Let me tell you something. You're an animal.
Most
I don't care what you think. I don't care what you think. You're an animal. You can have a different opinion about it, but literally, all human beings evolved from single cells. Now, there's those who have different opinions about that, but we all are animals. And for example, I am 89% DNA a wolf, right? And close to 96.5% a gorilla, all right? So, okay, people don't want to hear this. I understand it. They think we've been sort of told that we're above all things, and that the animals are not important, and that we run the universe and all these sorts of things. But I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I go out in the woods, and I'm just looking up, and I'm like, okay, come and say hi. And I have animals come in and sit next to me, or they fly by me, or whatever. I'm not trying to claim anything. I'm not trying to believe anything deeply. I just want to be part of this amazing world we live in. And so many people don't want to do that. It's sad, because if you think that there's this web around you that protects you from all these sorts of things, then that's where you're going to be. In every country I've been to, and I've been to a lot of countries, I've been to, Shinto traditions and Buddhist traditions and Tantric traditions and religious, all kinds of religious traditions all over the world. And most people believe, what they believe is what they believe, and that's the right way to believe. And that's okay, that's fine. Everybody can do what they want. But if you kind of push that to a side for a while and get out in nature, and say, look, it doesn't matter where you're from or what you believe. There's nature surrounds us. Without nature, we wouldn't exist. The only reason we survived for 400,000 years was by hunting animals and finding animals, and by getting wolves to join us and actually go hunting with us, because we would have died if we hadn't found wolves that would be willing to help us and work with us. All of this stuff is real. All you have to do is look it up. So I don't have any bones to pick with anybody. I just want to say, look, do you want to be happy? You know? Do you want to be happy with your life? Do you want to open up and connect with how amazing and fantastic the world is? Then you want to sort of read about, well, yeah, you got a bunch of stuff in my book. There's a lot of stuff in my book about spirit animals, animal spirits. That is, there's a lot more things to talk about. But I won't go deep into it. I think some people are probably thinking I'm crazy anyway.
Oh, no.
But I'm selling the book, so. So what did you say?
No, I don't think you're crazy, and I don't think my listeners think you are either. So,
well, I don't think you think I am, but there's probably other people listening who do. I'm quite sure, but that's fine.
Well,
I spend a lot of time in my hammock, huh?
I live about 3 miles from an Arkansas state park, and
nice.
You see people go there on the weekend, and they bring their boom boxes, and they get a picnic table, and they don't realize that there's half a dozen squirrels around them that they could be watching. There's woodpeckers in the trees, the birds singing, and they're totally disconnected from the nature itself.
Yes, yes. Especially Americans are. A lot of them are disconnected. I mean, especially nowadays, because everything is iPods, everything is things you put on your head. Everybody's looking at their cell phone when they're walking. In my neighborhood, I've seen people like almost get hit by cars like half a dozen times because they're busy trying to look at their cell phone while they're walking. I mean, I just want to sit in front of them and say, stop. Like, first of all, you're going to die. Second of all, you're not paying attention to what a beautiful day it is. Like, put it in your pocket and give yourself 20 minutes break, But this is how we are. We become that way.
Yes.
So, that's why I have a really good friend. I haven't been for a while, but we do a lot of hiking. And neither of us carry any of that stuff. But it's very funny when we're walking up the hill. There's like a gaggle of people like laughing and talking about high school or whatever.
Oh yes.
And I just want to throw them off the mountain. I can't do that. That's illegal. That's wrong. I'm not going to do that. But I mean, like, it would be lovely if there was science to say, could everybody just shut the blank up and just pay attention? We're in the middle of this gorgeous area surrounded by mountains. I mean, Northwest has gorgeous, huge monster mountains and rivers and lakes. And instead of yakking, like, take the 20 minutes and absorb this, but people are going to be people. So that's just how it is. So I'm not sure if I have much more to say. I can say one last final thing about animism, which is animism comes from excuse me, what do I want to say? Shinto is one, but anyway, and animism goes all the way back. We'll just use the American term animism. Goes all the way back. And this is probably the first quote unquote religious or shamanic, I don't know how to say it, way of functioning, way of being that ever existed. And there's still shamans. I was very lucky. I was able to hang out with shamans, serious shamans, not fake, Western American shamans. These were the first people I hung out with were the Nani Doro. They were from the Olchi tribe in Siberia. And they came to Washington, to Western Washington University to present, and were some of the most powerful, amazing people I've ever gotten to hang out with. And I learned a lot from them. but they basically say the same thing, like everything is alive. If you just start with that, you start with that every morning, no matter how, oh my God, I have to do this, I have to do that, oh my God, I need to do this, oh no, the floor needs this. If you just stop and say, look, everything's alive. You're alive, everything's alive. It's all good. Let's, at some point we won't be alive. So let's enjoy where we are and connect with where we are.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I hung out with them, and I hung out with some shamans from Guatemala. I was in the rainforest, and the guy figured out. It was very funny because he looked at me and I looked at him, and he looked at me very intensely, and I looked at him very intensely, and I said, "Are you a shaman?" And he like bolted upright, and then he leaned towards me. He goes, "Oh, you are too." And I said, "No, not exactly, but I nailed you." So then he goes, "Hey, do you and your wife want to, why don't we skip all this tourist stuff? Do you want to go up into the jungles and meet a bunch of shamans?" And I said, "Oh, absolutely." So that I got to hang out in a couple of rituals that were so intense and so wild, you can't believe it. Without going into a long story, they had a stand in a certain place. Like 12 other shamans showed up in their white clothes, and they were all, of course, they were chanting in I'm trying to remember exactly what it is. It's not Mexican. It's before that. It's I don't remember now. But they're chanting and doing all this stuff, and everything's in the whole room starts to get crazy, starts to get weird. It's like everything starts shaking, and it feels like you're tripping or something. And they build it up to a frenzy, this chanting, and all of a sudden they end it, and this massive windstorm came up in this house, in this large house, going around and around and around and almost blowing everybody over. I am not making this up. And it was a sunny day, okay? And so it's going around and around, and we're standing there, me and my ex, and we're looking at each other, and we're like, oh my God. So, and then all of a sudden they end the whole thing, and like, boom, it stops. And then they come over and do this final ritual to us to bless us. And that was the end of it. And I don't think I've ever been so shocked in my entire life. So I also hung out with some shamans in Japan, and I saw them doing amazing things that people didn't believe were real. I went to a big festival. It wasn't a festival, it was a ritual where they were chanting pre-Shinto language, which I'd never heard before, and a bunch of pipes that weren't anything like I'd ever heard before. And the priest is standing there, and he's doing this whole thing because that particular shrine that had a goddess to it. I don't remember if it was Amaterasu Omikami or what. And he raises his hand, and all of a sudden he creates this whirlwind around the whole temple. And then and everybody's chanting, and the music is going, and I'm standing there with my mouth open and thinking, okay, I want to learn how to do that. and then it all collapsed, and it ended, and I went up and shook his hand, and we had a long conversation. So those are the animus. I mean, that's some examples of shamanic animus. There are a lot of people who claim they are, but honestly, you have to be in other countries, I believe. So I don't know if that do you have any questions about that, or?
No, sir. I think you covered it pretty good.
Yeah, I'm one of those people.
I need to do my second break. Can you go for a little while longer after? We'll come back and kind of close out.
Sure.
All right. Thank you, sir.
No problem.
seems like yesterday. Saw you standing in the rain. Then I heard you say, I want to love.
This is Dark Matter News. I'm Joshua Stark. Scientists may be on the brink of rendering reading glasses obsolete with eye drops. In a large retrospective study of 766 patients, a special formula combining pilocarpine and diclofenac significantly improved near vision in people suffering from presbyopia, the age-related loss of focus on up-close objects. Within just an hour of administration, participants on average gained nearly 3.5 lines of improved reading ability on standard eye charts. The benefits held for many users over long periods, in some cases up to 2 years, without serious side effects. Most reported only mild dimming, transient irritation, or headaches. The drops work by constricting the pupil and engaging the eye's focusing muscle, while the anti-inflammatory component reduces discomfort often associated with the main ingredient. Researchers hope this non-invasive drop-based approach could offer an alternative to those who dislike glasses or are not suitable candidates for surgery. There is still caution, however, because the study was retrospective and conducted at a single center. Broader trials are needed to confirm the safety and general use cases. However, if future research supports these results, a simple daily drop might soon do the job that glasses have long done, giving aging eyes a clearer future. That's it for Dark Matter News. Catch up with us on the Midnight Frequency Facebook page. From Memphis, Tennessee, I'm Joshua Stark.
What is ham radio? It's the most fun you can have with a radio. Talk to people around the world or even orbiting the world. And you don't need a 2-year contract or internet access to do it. Learn about electronics and be of service to your community. ARRL, the National Association for Amateur Radio, has over 2,000 clubs across the country, including this one in your area.
The CC Skywave SSB2 is a Swiss Army knife of portable radios. The Skywave SSB2 has wide and accurate band coverage in a small size, which makes it an excellent travel and emergency radio. Single sideband is a reliable way to get long-range information after an earthquake or hurricane when normal communications are down. The SSB tuning is accurate to 10 Hz resolution. It also covers civilian aviation, VHF, with 10 aviation memories that can continuously scan for activity. It also covers AM, FM, and weather with alert. To get your CC Skywave SSB2, call us at 1-800-522-8863 or visit us on the web at ccrane.com. Once again, that's ccrane.com.
Let's dance in style, let's dance for a while. Heaven can wait, we're only watching the skies. Hoping for the best, but expecting the worst. Are you gonna drop the bomb or not? Let us die young or let us live forever. We don't have the power, but we never say never. Sitting in a sandpit, life is a short trip. The music's for the sad man. Can you imagine when this race is won? Turn our golden faces into the sun.
All right, welcome back to Midnight Frequency Radio and our guest, Denny Sargent. I'll take any questions for the guest in chat, but while we're moving on, do you think the Main Street culture is starting to become more open to esoteric traditions?
That's a very good point of view. I think a lot depends on where. I mean, for good or ill, our country is broken up, and different places, people have different extreme feelings about things. So, in where I live in Washington, there's not a lot of, there are all kinds of people, and there are Muslim and Christian and Catholic. I mean, there's that here, but it's not so intense. And there's a lot of people who are very focused on nature and about connecting directly with nature and the world. So I think it depends on where. Different people, for good or ill, people are often raised in a certain way. And that often is the end of that, because I have a lot of friends who are all kinds of different types of friends, all kinds of different kinds of religion. And they have very clear views that their point of view is the right point of view, and they get into arguments constantly about this, that, or the other thing. I mean, I can understand that different people have different opinions. I traveled in Saudi Arabia, if you can believe it. I've traveled all over. I've hung out with Thai people and Buddhists and everything. I mean, I've met a lot of people, Catholic, everything. And I'm just my general attitude is, well, if that works for you, that's wonderful, good. So I don't know. I really don't know. Especially right now, things are very violent now and kind of crazy. So I don't know. I'm hoping for the best. Those of us who live here, Washington, Oregon, and parts of Northern California, we kind of suspect that it's going to break up and that we're going to have our own world, but I don't know. We all have a different view, a much more open view than other places I've been. So I don't know. My mom's from Texas. I have friends in Florida. I have friends everywhere, and I get along with everybody. But things are getting they're getting more hostile, and I don't know what to say about that. I try very hard not to have any negativity with anybody, but I'm a little worried. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get all down.
Oh, no. I mean, even you're sitting in a doctor's office, if someone wants to have a discussion, I stay away from politics and religion.
Yeah, and that's fine, and so do I, to be honest with you. I get along with pretty much everybody. So anyway, but I like to talk about the things I write because I think it would make some people happier. Regardless of what your belief system is or what you this or that, put leaving everything at home and going into the woods or the beach or wherever, and just finding a way to connect yourself directly with nature. I think it's the best thing you could possibly do. I really do. Yeah, I was very upset about something not long ago, and I just went driving into the woods and screeched and got out and started walking. And 10 minutes later, I was fine. I was just breathing and looking and touching the trees. And so, I don't know. I just want everybody to be happy. That's pretty much where I'm at.
Yeah, I hope things get better, but I've got the feeling that things will get worse before then. So. Well,
I'll say the positive side of that. Yes, I think you're right. But if you're in a place like where you are, you can get out to the woods easily, right?
Oh, I can walk out my front door.
Right. And I can drive literally down the hill, and I'm at one of the biggest lakes in the country, or I can drive over here and be in the woods, I mean, I'm just very lucky, and not everybody is that lucky. I mean, I used to live in New York where, finding real nature was hard, but when I'm upset, I find nature and go walking, and I'm sure you do the same thing. And having a dog is really helpful.
Oh yeah. One of the guests asked, "Have you climbed Mount Fuji?"
I did, and I did not die, but almost, because I got almost to the very, very top, and a massive hurricane hit us.
Oh boy.
Because you actually have to, as you climb, you have to stop and spend the night like 3 different places. It's a big hike up, and it was really creepy when the big thing hit, and the whole wooden thing was shaking. And anyway, but yes, I did climb to Mount Fuji. It was a sacred thing to do. And I was good friends with a lot of Japanese, and I went to a lot of their shrines, and a lot of, I met the priest of all Shinto, which is really a big deal. He's like the Pope in Japan. And I had to wait 6 months to have 10 minutes with him, but he finally met me, and I got to ask him some things, which was good. And the one line that I remember very well I asked was, you use the word kami. Okay, in Japan, kami can mean lots of things. People just assume it means God or spirit, but kami can mean lots of different things. It's very, very animistic. And I said, well, what is this? What is a kami? What is a kami-sama? And he paused. And he was a clearly very religious man, because he had a moment, and he waited, and then he said, and it just blew my mind. He said, it's the art of everything. It's the art of everything. So, and I was like, what? And he said, the gods, the spirits, they're all present. And so the best is simply to accept and connect with that. So that kind of blew my mind, I have to say. But I don't know. I spent 4 years in Japan, so I can go on about that, but that's probably more than you want to hear.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
My dad was in the military, and we spent 5.5 years in Hawaii, so I was around a lot of different cultures and stuff.
Oh, nice. Wow. I love Hawaii. And I actually met a couple of Hawaiian priests who are very much shamanic people. Yeah, that's interesting. Good for you. I thought the people who were quite serious about it were really powerful, amazing people, and I got to see some of those things. Yeah, that's great. Wow, how long did you spend in Hawaii?
He did 2 tours of duty, so 5.5 years total.
Oh, nice. Hawaii is like the best. I mean, I hope it was the best for you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Most of my memories are of that. And I still have friends there now.
Nice. Did you go stay with them?
No, matter of fact, the last time I was in Hawaii was 2012.
Oh, hey, I'll stay with them.
Yeah,
I haven't been to Hawaii for a while, and I love it.
Yeah, one of my friends.
And I love hanging. Huh?
One of my friends over there, he goes by Photo Look Hawaii, and he does videos of Hawaii on YouTube. So you might look him up sometime.
Oh, that would be nice.
He's listening tonight, so.
That's wonderful. Well, may he be blessed, because I tell you, I had some very major animistic experiences with the big volcano there, and anyway, I had some really powerful feelings there, and I met a lot of people who. It's just weird. If you're open to things, people will often stop and chat with you and then take you to places. And I've gotten better and better at that. Yeah. And in Hawaii, they're like, hey, we want to show you this sacred place. Come on. I never would have found it, And I was like, wow, that's amazing, Anyway, yeah, Hawaii is fantastic.
I know it's getting late, and I wanted to ask, do you have any new projects in the works?
Actually, I believe, and I'm waiting to find out, I'm going to do a secondary book to Feral Magic, and I'm not positive exactly how I'm going to title it, but whereas feral magic is mostly about trees and plants and animals and all those sorts of things. I told you earlier about the mountain in New Zealand that is now a human being, right?
Yes.
Well, I did a dig on this, and all throughout the United States, there are different things, rocks that are sacred, and rivers that are sacred, and all these sorts of things. And you can go around the world too. For example, near Israel, there's a couple of rivers that are sacred, and they're sacred to both the Muslims and the Jews. So there are these places that I'm kind of obsessed with now, like mountains and canyons and whatnot, that have been most often have been venerated by Native Americans and still are being venerated by Native Americans. But it's kind of fascinating. So I'm going to do a book on that, on how can we go to these mountains, like Mount Rainier, and like open up to a different side of, instead of taking pictures and go, oh, that's a nice mountain. The native people there believe that it is a powerful entity. And if you climb up along Mount Rainier, you believe it. And I cannot make this strong enough. If you're up on that mountain and you think, oh, it's just a mountain, very soon you realize that there's something very, very powerful with that mountain. Same with what is it? I can't remember. I want to say Shaksa, but that's not it. Shasta. Shasta is another big one. There's a bunch of mountains around here that are considered to be sacred. But I think it's best to try to actually go to these places and connect directly, and however it works for you. And you'll come down off that mountain. Wow, that sounds very biblical, doesn't it? You'll come down off that mountain, and you'll be different. You'll be changed if you took the time to meditate on it and sit with it and etc. You'll get an incredible energy boost from the mountain, because it's whether you want to believe it or not, it's a living being. So that's my opinion, and I'm sticking with it. So.
Well, I stand with you on that. A lot of people, I think, just need to leave the boom boxes and the AirPods and the iPhones at home and get out into nature. Yeah.
Please leave that crap alone. I went hiking not long ago, this summer, and we went way up, big hike, very tiresome. My knees were like shot. And we get up to this gorgeous lake, and there's this gorgeous mountain, and all of a sudden somebody turns on their beatbox, and I thought I was going to have to. I almost ran after them, just to like throttle them, It was the most depressing thing ever. It was like the most gorgeous. If I showed you a picture, you'd say, that is a stunning lake and mountain. And then they're over there playing some stupid crap.
I can relate, believe me.
Well, we're getting old. That's why, I guess.
I guess so. You like to give everyone your website?
Sure. There are a couple of ways you can get to it. The easiest one right now is feralmagic.com, which is FERALMAGICK.com. Or you can just go to my name, which is DennySargentAuthor.com. And I have tons of stuff there. I just have a ton of stuff there, like piles of stuff, like articles and information and whatnot, and images of my book and all that sort of thing.
Well, sir, it's been an honor to have you on the show, and I don't want to keep you all night. So,
well, thank you, Carl. That was really a fun time, and you let me just ramble endlessly, which is frankly what I like to do. So,
well, we worked out great.
Good. That's a good thing. I didn't get kicked off.
All right. Well, I'll be in contact you about a recording of this, and I wish you the best Have a good evening.
Same to you. Thank you very, very much. And have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day and night and everything else.
Thank you, sir. And I hope to have you back on again.
Sure. I liked it. I mean, I hope they liked it.
Oh, and they seem to. They're making lots of comments in chat.
Oh, okay, then. We'll find out. Hey, take care and have a wonderful, wonderful day or evening, rather. I mean, take care of yourself.
Thank you, sir, and best to you.